Hi guys, Coyote Tan here again with another tabletop with the now infamous green towel, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about a couple of Kelgren Autos, what I mean is they're double action only pocket pistols with a hammer, but they have no reset. Neither one of them resets, so they're not a traditional double action. So you can't restrike with these, which I think is kind of hit against them, but with pocket pistols, many of them are striker. Many of them are single action, so how much difference is there? I guess if you had a SIG P238, 938, or a Mustang, you've got a hammer. So you could come back to hammer and restrike a cartridge if the gun got knocked out of battery or you had a hard primer or something like that. But it's really not that much of an issue, especially for a gun that's just in case in your pocket. And for me, I live in the South. It's hot down here. So I'm usually not wearing a jacket, not wearing heavy clothes, or in business casual or in business attire. So I really can't carry a big gun for a large part of what I do down here. So I went and got a P32 a little bit over a year ago as a pocket pistol. And I do like that gun. I take it to the range more than anything else I own because I carry it. I've been through a mountain of 32 with it, and it hasn't disappointed me. Now, the reason I got a 32 at the time was because I got an extra round, which is still true, but I also get a little bit more penetration. So I paid about $250 for that Keltec, and then this Ruger went on sale, so $215 out the door versus $250 out the door. I really couldn't pass it up. And I will say it's a Ruger LCPII, if you can't tell. Ruger LCPII, new and redesigned. So they're very proud of this, and I think they should be, because they obviously listen to feedback from the community. I do like that both these guns have a last round hold open. I don't think that the original LCP did. And it also has manual slide stop, so I can lock this open whenever I feel like it. It also makes it easier to clean, take down, inspect, all that sort of thing, and the Keltec doesn't. Now, even though I would always slingshot on the insertion of a magazine, it is nice to be able to lock it open when you want to. So this, again, does have, you could always just stick an empty magazine in it to get it to lock open. But this one here, there we go. And they do provide a normal base plate if you don't want the finger rest base plate. It also came with a chamber flag. Doesn't come with a nice little Keltec plastic box, but I don't really think that's a big deal. Magazine release is very similar. The flared barrels are similar. I will go ahead and say that the difference is the extractor. It's a Keltec spring extractor, which mine's always, it works, the outside spring, versus the more traditional Ruger extractor. This also has the little lever on the trigger that if you don't have your finger inside of it, all that does, and I'm grabbing it on the sides here, all that does is prevent the trigger from being pulled. So this makes it a little bit less likely to snag your keys or something. But the Ruger came with and it does cover the trigger guard, but it is, again, it is just fabric, so you could bunch something in there. So that just makes it a little bit less likely to have a problem. I do have a nylon holster for the Keltec anyway, but as you see, it's a little bit heavier, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit that, but it is a Uncle Mike's sidekick. My now deceased grandfather gave it to me a long time ago. Well, you know what? It works. It's a lot stiffer, a lot thicker than something like this, which it still conceals pretty easily, but I haven't had any problems with anything bunching. Now with the triggers, okay, double action triggers. So like this one here, it feels a little bit more like a single action trigger. There's absolutely nothing to it until you hit the wall, and once you hit that wall, it breaks fairly easily. It's a fairly good trigger, and then here comes. So the slide cycles, that's the reset right there. Bang. Okay, I think you could shoot this fairly quickly. I'm actually excited to try that, and I'll show you what the difference is in a minute. But again, no restrike, absolutely nothing happening until this slide cycles. So if in your head, if you want to think about it as a shrouded hammer single action, that's probably the way to think about it. And that's a lot what this feels like. Now, our friendly neighborhood Keltec is not that way. So you see this, the hammer's up. I do like that I can tell that it's cocked. It's not quite as obvious with the Ruger. And there's a little thing here, and if it wasn't real bright, you'd never see that. So that's the top of the hammer right there. But that's probably why the angle on the back of the gun is different. So anyway, this guy here, I'm going to hold it this way so that you can see it. That's a lot of trigger pull, okay? I'm going to let that hammer back down. It feels like a double action revolver, so it's a lot of travel, and it breaks. It's not that bad of a trigger. This gun's fairly shootable. But, again, no reset. And if you keep it pulled, you hear this first click? That is not the reset. That's a false reset. That's a reset right there. Bang. There's the false, nothing. There's the real one. Okay. Now this hasn't given me any problems because it's the only pistol this way. I think when I start shooting these two, I'm probably going to prefer this Ruger, and I might have to give this away or sell this so that I don't try to pull that trigger again back here where nothing's going to happen. It hasn't been a problem because it's the only one I had. Now that I have both of them, I could see myself getting used to this Ruger trigger with a faster reset. And I will tell you that the Ruger sights, I probably want to get some paint on them, but the Ruger sights are a little bit cleaner. Make sure you guys can see that. There we go. There we go. My countertops probably aren't going to appreciate that, but they're still little bitty fixed sights. I've never gotten this P32 snagged anything, never had a hard time getting it out. So this guy here has a little bit more, and then there's some texture back here. I'll probably touch these up with some paint, something a little bit of color so that they're a little bit easier to pick up. Maybe something a little shiny so they're easier to pick up at night. But I didn't do that with the Keltec. I generally do that with my revolvers. There's just a little stub of a front sight on here, and I never bothered to paint it. It actually, I would have preferred if they did the little channel on top of the gun. I think they would have had to leave more material on the slide to do that, like a C-camp or something like that. It just, versus these tiny little, they feel like, we talk pocket pistols, and a lot of people think turn of the century pocket pistols, and they had beady little sights on them, so you might feel a little bit like they're fighting off that era more than they should be. But again, this has been a nice gun. I've liked it. We're going to shoot these side by side and see how I feel about that afterwards. But this Ruger, it's a lot cleaner looking. It's a lot more attractive. It's a little bit heavier, and it's going to be shooting the 380, which I talked a little bit about 75 grain flat points that I like because they make the penetration. I've never gotten, it's semi-rimmed cartridge, so I've never actually gotten hollow points to cycle, but I do like to put one in the pipe. The OALs are a little weird. I don't know if you could see it there, but these are just a little bit, a hair longer, just a hair longer than the hollow point, and for some reason that makes a big, well, obviously because the rim, that makes a big difference in how they feed. So I can't quite make it through a magazine of these. I've bought several brands. I'm not going to embarrass a brand by saying all the brands I've had problems with, because I've had problems with every hollow point I've tried in this gun. I've had great, all the round nose, and even the cheapest round nose I could find, and lead round nose, full metal jacketed round nose, and then these flat points are buffalo bore. Now this here is Lehigh loaded by Underwood. So this is going to be, this is the Defender. I also have the Penetrator. I'm going to try them both and see how I feel. The Defender's, well, let's see what the box says. 65 grains. So at 65 grains, I was betting just wouldn't really feel like it had any recoil to it, and it makes the FBI standards for penetration. Now the 90 grains are probably going to be what I end up carrying around because they're going to penetrate more, but I wanted to be able to shoot them both to see how I felt about them. So we'll be taking that to the range soon with the P32. The Lehigh does make the bullets for 32 auto also. They also make a 308 if you had a 30 carbine or something like that. I just thought it would be worth mentioning because I do like that cartridge, and if you have one, we'll turn it into something a little bit different than what's available today. These bullets are cool. I want to really encourage people to make new things like this because most things that come out are a gimmick that don't actually work, and I've seen a lot of testing on these, and they appear to do what they say they're going to do. So I'm going to shoot one. I'm not going to test any ballistic media or anything like that. But I'm going to shoot them to see what they feel like and how they treat the gun. And again, you know, I couldn't beat the price. And if I would go back in time, back to when I bought this Keltec, I wouldn't even considered it. I would have just bought the Ruger because I got a few dollars less and I got a little bit more feature-wise for the gun. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not unhappy with the Keltec. I don't think it's a bad gun, and I do like it. I can tell you the other thing about it is that 32 has almost no recoil. It's very, very comfortable to shoot, and it's been, in my opinion, comfortable to shoot quick, but seeing the difference with the trigger, I'm really excited for trying to shoot this Ruger, and I want to shoot it with these light grain bullets. I don't think it'll be too snappy. I've heard people complain about these being snappy, but I really don't believe a 380 locked breech gun is going to be snappy. So that's it for us today. Again, we've got our Keltec P32 and our Ruger LCP, almost identical in size. Be using them for basically the same thing. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining me, and subscribe if you like these, and hopefully we'll get you a little bit more range time coming up.